Well, good evening, Chameleon Academy. Welcome to this open question and answer session where we are here to answer your questions. We meaning me. And this is a live session. And if you're watching the replay, this happens every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Pacific, sorry, 5 p.m. Pacific. And you are welcome to join us on Instagram or YouTube on the channel Chameleon Academy Live. So good evening, everybody. Sakshumungru. I love that name. Got a 3-month-old baby panther. Congratulations. Congratulations. What kind did you get? What kind of locale? I always love asking that question. So James says, and the regular crowd shuffles in. There we go. And Lisa knows us well. She says, hi, pretty people. Yep, that's us. You have come to the right place. So Sakshumungro got another Nosy Bay. Very nice. Wayne Beatties is asking the question of the evening. How are we doing this evening? Well, Wayne Beatties, we are doing great. And now we're doing better because we're hanging out with chameleon people. And we know chameleon people have good taste. So, all right, everybody, please come in, enjoy the ambiance. For my friends on Instagram, I love Instagram, but there's a lot more conversation going on the YouTube channel called Chameleon Academy Live. Make sure there's a live after it. I have 2 channels. And so if you want to get more involved with the chameleon community, just hop on over to YouTube, and there's a lot more that goes on here. But I love both my communities. And so if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know. So, hey, Johnny B. I think that's a new name. Everybody say hello to Johnny B. We love when we have new people here. Okay, so this is what goes on. I am here and I am going to just hang out and talk about things. We're going to have a little bit of fun. But this is an official question and answer session. So if you have any chameleon questions or curiosities, put it down and we talk about anything here. So this is meant to be a community place where we meet and we have fun. So, and Stephanie Payne says, made a separate account for the future YouTube plan, so I stopped confusing myself. Okay, so now Canopy Chronicles is now Stephanie Payne. Excellent. All right, and for today's water, I have the official Chameleon Academy travel cup. It's really nice. I love it. But I love the mushroom cup. We all love the mushroom cup. For those who don't know, I came in with a cup of water, but it had mushrooms on it. We all love it. The thing is, Yvette got wind that I was using her favorite mushroom cup, and so now I can't find it. So it has been absconded with. There's a mystery. So I am stuck using official Chameleon Academy merch. So, all right. James is wondering, how do we know this is the real Stephanie Payne? Could be another one of those aliases, Bill. We always have people coming in trying to pretend that they are Stephanie Payne. This is an issue. So we'll have to be careful with what we say. Let's see. Johnny B says, I usually tap in through Instagram, but YouTube has way more people. This is correct. Welcome, Johnny. All right. Saksumungru has a question. Hello, Billy Boy. Hope you're okay. Matthew, thank you very much. I am okay. I'm doing great. So Sakshumungru says he's already in an adult cage talking about his 3-month-old Nosy Bay Panther chameleon. So adult cage, I approve, but I'm worried about him finding his food. He doesn't use his screen feeder and only goes after the ones which escape. Should I just release them in the cage? Will he do fine hunting them? Well, the thing about and how do you set up your cultures for fruit fly? Okay, that's Matthew. That's the second question. So as far as your 3-month-old Panther chameleon, so how big is he? There are different breeders have different size panthers at 3 months old, but usually at 3 months old, they are they're well into being ready to be in their adult sized cage. They're little cricket eating ninjas, and they're crawling around all the cage hunting. So there is a question about. I mean, I like to put my hatchlings into adult sized cages, but that is a valid question. Sometimes hatchlings don't like to run around. I mean, veiled chameleons they do, but sometimes panther chameleons are shy, and so with a hatchling has to decide whether it's worth moving to the other side of the cage and exposing itself, because it's like candy for everything in the world. Everything in the world wants to eat it. So you do have to make sure that they can get at food without exposing themselves. So I don't know what the situation is for your particular uh, panther as to why he won't use his screen feeder. Um, I will say there are two possibilities. First, he may be using the screen feeder, just not when you're around. The way you determine that is if there's poop all around, even though you don't see him eating. You want to be careful about releasing crickets in the cage, because a lot of them will get away. Now, I say that it's one of those things, do as I say, not as I do, because I release mine in the cage all the time. And yes, I love letting them hunt. And if that's the way he does it, then release them in the cage. It's not going to really be a problem. You just have to, what I would do is do three things. First of all, keep stocking your screen feeder. He needs to know that that's where he always finds food. Also, release some on the side. Let him hunt. A lot of those will get away, but he'll get a couple of them, and he'll have the fun of hunting. He always knows he can go back to the screen feeder. If he's hungry, he goes back to the screen feeder. But every now and then, you come along and you release things along the side of the cage. So this is a double benefit. Number one, he gets to run or after things, but number two, he knows that you coming into his territory is a good thing. Well, then he gets food to run after. So he may start looking forward to you coming over. Now, the third thing that I would do, if you're still worried that he's not getting enough, is keep the screen feeder, keep the releasing on the wall, and get a deli cup. Put some crickets in the deli cup and put that deli cup in a plant that is hid. I mean, not hidden, but is in his where he feels safe. So there's hopefully you've got your cages got plants, and so there's going to be a place that he hangs out because he feels safe. He has decided, okay, in all the plants and all the areas in this cage, this is one place that I feel safe, and you'll know it because that's where he hangs out. So get that cup, and every now and then put that cup in the plant at the base of the plant where he likes to hang out. And so he can go down and zap it. Yeah, the crickets are going to get out. Yeah, it's not reliable. Oh, it'll fill up with water and stuff. You can poke holes in the bottom if you want to. It's not meant to be a permanent thing. It's meant to be something that you put in there to make it easier for him. It won't be long before he settles in. He figures out, okay, I can go and get the screen feeder, and you're going to figure out a relationship. You're going to somehow you're going to figure out how to make it work. So this is a point. This is where you and your chameleon are working together to figure out what kind of relationship you're going to have. So just keep at it. Make sure he's got food all over the place. That's okay. That's a good thing, and you'll start you'll start seeing some behaviors that show you what he prefers, and he will start settling in and accepting other forms of food. So it's the same thing that we do whenever we bring a chameleon home, is we all just work it out. Would like to know how you set up your cultures for fruit flies, please. Matthew, what do you mean by that? As far as the cultures, I use the Rapashi Superfly. It's a pre-made mix, and so I just set it up, and I do new cultures every week. Is that what you meant? So I am worried that my chameleon is dying from old age. What are the usual signs? Happy Hair House, the usual signs are that the chameleon starts to slow down. The joints may start to get swollen because of gout and stuff like that. And you will notice that the chameleon, the edges of the chameleons, they just look crusty because they're old. And so they go into the same type of getting old that we do. And once you get to know you're a chameleon, you'll say, okay, those colors used to be more vibrant. They're not as vibrant now. He's not as active now. Starts to slow down. And so um, those are the kind of signs you're going to see. So, all right, let's go back to sorry, YouTube people. Let me see if I can catch up with the chat here. All right, Tony C's Chameleon Twinkie has a birthday coming up. Art asks, what did I miss? Art, you missed everything. You got to catch up. But Art is fighting traffic to get home for the show. Bioactive stand for the large hydra atrium. Johnny, actually, he's got it, and I am working on putting that up on the website. If you actually at this point contact me at bill at dragonstrand.com, and I will send you pictures. Julian Paul Petit says, Bill made a YouTube video on fruit fly culture. Yes, I actually do have that. And if you want to go, I was doing fruit fly cultures every Sunday live. That was just the thing that we were doing. So Happy Hair Out says, he's falling a lot and barely moves or eats. Should I take him to the vet and put him down? Oh, well, it depends on why he's falling a lot and barely moves or eats. The vet may be able to help you figure that out as to what's going on. But let the vet tell you what's going on in his life and seeing if that's something that you can fix or if it's old age. And if chameleons will die on their own. You put them down only if they're looking like they're really miserable. But mine, when they got to old age, they would do some falling down. And so I would create a branch structure down by the bottom of the cage, even put towels down. And so they could, in their old age, still enjoy some life. So it's really up to how bad off he is. And that's something your vet can help you decide. Flick didn't get a notification for this. Oh, no. We need notifications. Okay, everybody, I'm catching up in my chats. Nick's got a foster litter of Jackson's chameleons. Oh, boy. Yeah. Let's see. Josu Martinez says, hey, Bill, I have a serious question. I lost my chameleon roughly 5 days ago in my backyard. Looked everywhere and asked my neighbors if they've seen anything and nothing else. What else should I do? It's kind of amazing. Some chameleons travel far, and a lot of them don't go far. They just find a bush and they hunker down. So your chameleon may be hanging out right by you. There's a 50-50 chance. And so keep looking. Go out with a flashlight. Don't just look up in the trees. Look in the bushes. It's amazing how they may. I had a Miller's chameleon, and he got out, and he was hanging out in the bushes. I have a huge tree in my backyard. No, he was hanging out in the bushes. So, yeah, you just keep looking, and hope somebody finds him. Just don't give up. Don't think that he is spending 5 days of traveling. He's maybe spending 5 days in the bush right by your garage. So that you can only hope that. A lot of mine go one yard away. So yeah, keep looking. Keep looking. Julian Paul says, don't give up. We lost one once and found it a week later right by the front porch. They hang out. I lost one in fall, and I found him in spring, and he was still hanging out in my backyard. Uh, so Mike Ben says, Geraldine, hoping the summer is getting you ready for Madagascar. Actually, Madagascar isn't unbearably hot when we go in January. Uh, all right. Cam guy says, Bill, you're not sure you're getting my messages on the chat. Well, I'll check again. I haven't been seeing them, but then again, I don't always check, so I will check. And yes, I got a box. We can talk. And it is getting close to Madagascar time. We're coming into the final stretch. You say, what? I thought you were going in January. Yeah, but 6 months. This is the final stretch. I got to make sure everybody has passports correctly. Got to make sure our airlines is coordinated, and everybody's going to have the right equipment. We got to get the right. Got to make sure we got the right lights. Got to check the newest regulations as to what's going to be allowed on the airplane, and all that kind of wonderful stuff. So yeah, it's good that we start ahead of time. So Nick says, if all goes well, they will need forever homes. Unfortunately, I won't be keeping any. Lisa, Nick, do you know if they're Hawaiian or Kenyan bloodlines? Do you know that? That's a good thing to know. So, Josu Martinez says, but I'm just nervous. He didn't survive one of the nights. My area and the nights get as low as 52 degrees, and he's a veiled chameleon. Oh. 52 degrees is nothing for a veiled chameleon. They laugh at 52 degrees. Don't worry about veiled chameleons at 52 degrees. You can start worrying when it gets to freezing. Veiled chameleons, they party at 52 degrees at night. Don't worry. Terry says, how long will a live animal last when shipping? Yeah, Terry, don't worry about it. One day is not a problem. Animals do just fine. So we got a question about when animals are shipped, like reptiles are shipped, and what happens when there's a delay. Routinely, although we hate to say that this happens commonly, because it doesn't, but occasionally there will be a delay. FedEx will delay, and packages will get delayed. Talk about chameleons, any reptile. And these day delays are if everything is as it should be, which it usually is, the box is kept in a environmentally controlled room, and there's no problem, and the chameleon or gecko comes in just fine. So one day is usually not a problem. The question is, if there's been a delay, why was there a delay? And if it's because a truck broke down on the side of the road in the middle of the desert, okay, now we got a problem. But usually, if you have a delay in your shipment of any reptile, it's not a panic. Just wait and see what comes in. Almost always, they've come in just fine. Yeah. See, do wild chameleons have a safe zone? Maybe our escapees get out, get scared, but still feel safe near the hairless monkeys. I don't know that these are the problems when the chameleons get out. They don't know what to make of everything. So you've got your chameleons that'll have different personalities, from chameleons that will just hang out in trees, and sometimes panther chameleons, they'll run around depending upon what the temperature is. If you've got winter and it's cold, then your chameleon will just huddle in. They'll just find a nice place to huddle in, and they'll just stay in one place, and sometimes come out to get sun, then go in. If it's summertime, they'll be looking for a cool place to stay during the day, and the mornings and the evenings they'll come out to hunt. So, but If they are out long enough, then yes, they will start finding favorite places to hang out. All right. Jose says, well, it's good to hear. Google and other sources say they could be kept at barely 60 degrees. Okay, so that's ridiculous. They are so wrong. Absolutely wrong. So wrong that I am laughing at how wrong they are. They can, I mean, 50 degrees can be a standard. I have my veiled chameleons out to the point where it gets down to the 40s, and they're absolutely fine. So don't worry about do not worry about that. 50s is not even of a concern. Even if your chameleon has been indoors and hasn't been acclimated to outside, 50s is not a problem at all for veiled. They panther chameleons are starting to get a little bit. I don't like this. Veiled chameleons, they're popping open a beer. So yeah. How long is the flight when importing from Madagascar? James, the problem with the flight is it almost always stops over somewhere. It stops somewhere, stops over, it goes from Madagascar to somewhere. And that somewhere depends upon where the exporter decides their stop off is going to be, and usually picks the cheapest one. So that's the biggest variable right there. And then it probably goes to Miami or something like that. Don't know. As for the length, it depends upon what that stopover is, and that's the way it is with every Madagascar shipment. Yeah, at this point, Terry, I am not worried. Anything could happen. I mean, things have. Terry has a shipment that has been delayed. FedEx delayed a shipment. That's why we're talking about a shipment, and it's good for everybody to know. We've had. I mean, sometimes FedEx just really messes it up, and even when it comes in immediately, it's not. It's an unfortunate thing. So, but usually a day delay is not an issue at all. Now, of course, everybody is stressed about it, and rightfully so, because when they have one of our reptiles up in the air, we're all on pins and needles. So yeah, we it's okay to be stressed, but we don't worry until we know that it's time to worry. All right, let's figure out about this Jackson's. They were surrendered at a local exotic reptile store, and he asked if I wanted to take on the challenge. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. You have no idea to know. Guess would be okay. Good job. I love Jackson's. Love Jackson's. Okay. Alex, no, Madagascar is not en route, but we are keeping a a watch on it. And Nick says we lost a wild caught shipment for 6 days. Wow, 6 days. All were alive, very dehydrated though. Yeah, it's amazing how hardy reptiles are. We don't want to push it, but it's amazing how hardy they are. Tony's saying, Bill, is there any legal way to bring a chameleon from Madagascar to the U.S.? I mean, with you on the same plane back to the U.S. There is a legal way to do that. There are so many hoops to jump through that it would be a completely miserable thing to do, and you would have to coordinate with a lot of people. And so, as interesting and fun as it sounds to go out and find your own chameleon and bring it back, it just takes so much work and paperwork, and you have to set it up ahead of time. It's just not worth it. And it would be miserable for us to go. Like if you're talking about, say we went to Madagascar in January. Tony's going, yay. And we saw a chameleon. Said, "Oh, well, we like this." We would have had to have gotten the CITES paperwork for that chameleon or coordinated with an exporter that had paperwork. We need to capture it in a legal area. The thing is, we are going to be going to a lot of national parks. Can't collect in the national parks. Not only would we have to collect it, we'd have to take care of it, and then we'd have to get it to the exporter so they could export it out and have the export schedule. So there's just so much that goes on. We don't want to mess with that. Um, yeah. And so as fun as that sounds, just doesn't work too too well in real life. Josu, how do you pronounce that? I keep saying it differently every time. Hypothetically, if I were to find my chameleon, would it be okay to keep him outside? Kept all my chameleons indoors. Depends on where you live. So even though I say like 50s is not a problem for a veiled chameleon, and it isn't, whether they would be healthy at that long term depends upon what your days get to. And as long as your chameleon can warm up during the day, the nighttime temperature 50s is not a problem. So as long as like where I am in Southern California, it can get down to 50s at night, but during the day, it's in the mid 70s and it is clear. Even when it's in the high 60s and clear, the veil can go and they can bask and they can soak up the sun. So 50s, 40s is not a problem. Now, if I was living, say, by the coast in Central California and I had fog all the time, then the chameleon was never going to be able to warm up during the day. Well, these cold nights start to take a toll. And by a toll, I mean the colder the body is, the less they're not doing all of their digestion, they're not doing all their bodily functions at ideal rate. It's okay if they are they are not doing that at night. They're not supposed to be doing that at night. But if it gets to be the day and they can't do it during the day, then your chameleon isn't able to function, never is able to get to that temperature to function. So you can keep your chameleon outdoors when it gets down to the 50s as long as they can warm up during the day. How much eye cleaning? Bulging their eyes is too much. You know what, Sakshimungur, I don't do the eye cleaning anymore. I have finally agreed that is probably just the eye being irritated and not being cleaned out, because honestly, it doesn't make sense that it's being cleaned out. Your chameleon, if your chameleon needed to clean out their eyes using rain and stuff, they would rush to the rain instead of hiding away from it and waiting for it to rain on them for minutes. So you can just call me by Josh. Josh, I will call you Josh. Okay. Yeah, I live by the coast, but how far? Where along the coast do you live, Josh? If you live in California, I may have an idea what kind of temperature you are experiencing. But anyway, thanks, Bill. That's what I thought would be a pain. There's so much paperwork and time. Don't worry, I will bring my chameleons only in my phone. Yes, yes. And really, we don't want to take care of a chameleon. We are, we've got so many places to go, and it's just be a pain if we were trying to bring a chameleon back. Hey, Annabelle's here. Welcome. Very good to see you. Nick was renewing my import-export license if we needed it. Oh, boy. Oh, Nick. Well, I don't know. Maybe we got some fun things for you to do. Live in Salinas. Josh lives in Salinas. Okay, I barely no salinas. I don't know how much fog you get during the day. I used to live in Fremont, so that wasn't too far, but that was inland. So yeah, you just decide. Just look out. Do you get enough sun for your chameleon to warm up during the day? And if so, I mean, living by the coast, that's really cool. As long as you get that sun during the day, oh, that's perfect because you get very humid nights. Yeah. Where's Squishy and Dorito? Is Dorito the one next? Is Dorito the snail or the one next door? I think that's the one next door. Squishy is nowhere to be seen. Squishy's been doing a lot of not being out later in the day. All right, let's bring out Dorito. Yes, everybody, this one got a name. Come on. Oh, Dorito, you being a dork. There we go. All right, there's Dorito. Cute little guy. Here we go. Got to show Dorito. Slowly growing up. Doritos, what page name? Okay, so good. Good. There's Dorito. So Josh says, well, during the end of summer, it's very warm and nice out here, so I'll probably keep them outdoors during summer and spring and bring them indoors during fall. Yeah, that works. Partial outdoors, that works really well. Yeah, Cam guy, let's talk. Let us not talk about private things on public forums. All right. How old is Dorito? I'd have to think. Mine are they're growing very slowly, and I got to figure out what it is. Dorito actually had some flagellated protozoa, but I've taken care of that. And now Dorito is clear, so let's see if we get some growth. So Salinas is very similar to Carpinteria, and I believe Carpinteria, if I hear from Matthew Gallup, that has a lot of fog. So you may be having difficulty with sunlight. So you just make a determination, but they'll do really good. They'll enjoy outdoors. All right, folks. Let's see. Let's go ahead for any. This is our choice. We can do either a chameleon question, or else anybody can throw out a page number, and I will. What looks like it's going to be Cool Ranch Dorito. Oh boy! Oh boy! So, by the way, everybody, we found out that Hugo is an ambilobe, and he's turned out to be kind of a nice colored ambilobe. Very cool. So, you always have the option if Alicia knows. She says page number. You do a page number, and I'm going to go to the book, and I'm going to see what's on page 27. I will read a paragraph, and then we will talk about what we find there. So this is out of the book Tiny Dragons. That is now available on page 27. See, okay. This is it. Page 27. Oh, my goodness. That's a meaty day page. This is about the chimney effect. Mm-hmm. And so, let us read from the Tomb of Knowledge. Chameleons need fresh air. This isn't a surprise for a creature that lives in the trees. With a screen cage, you get natural airflow as long as you have air movement in the room the cage is in. But when we use solid sides to keep in humidity or heat, we restrict air movement. Common tool when we use solid sides is to keep in humidity or heat. We restrict air movement. But when we use solid sides to keep in humidity or heat, we restrict air movement. All right, you know what? We can just work off of that because there is enough in that for us to talk about. So we've all heard about how chameleons need ventilation, or also get respiratory infections. Everybody gets a respiratory infection. So why would chameleons get respiratory infection if you cut down on the ventilation? Good question. It's important that we in the chameleon community, we understand what the danger is when we cut down on ventilation. Because if we don't understand it, we keep running around saying chameleons need screen cages and anything else they'll die, which isn't correct, which isn't true. And so what we need is to be able to understand, what is it chameleons need? What is the problem with not having ventilation? And the issue is that the air gets stuffy. What does that mean? What does it mean when the air gets stuffy? What is air getting stuffy? Well, if you've ever been we have it when we close all the windows and the doors and we sleep in a room for 8 hours. We get up in the morning. Yeah, we need to air out the house. We need to air out the room. And it's because, as Steve Hefner says, stagnant air. Well, what is stagnant air? Air sitting around? Does it need to be moving? No. The thing is, there's something called the carbon dioxide and oxygen cycle that goes over the entire Earth. That includes us, the animals, and all of the plants and the trees. And this cycle is that we breathe in air, our body takes out the oxygen and puts back in carbon dioxide, and we breathe that out. And so we're breathing out carbon dioxide. Plants in the world, I believe during night, they are day, night, what is it? They absorb the carbon dioxide and they expire oxygen. So we have an accord. We have a relationship with all the plants. That's why when we start talking about, whoa, the Amazon rainforest is burning, that is our air. when a deforestation, these are the things that produce air so we can breathe. It takes a lot of them to maintain this carbon dioxide and oxygen cycle. I mean, you can't just get a spider plant and say, okay, we're done. So we need all of those trees. And the problem is when we stop the ventilation, when we roll the car windows up and we don't have any vents going, when we sleep in a room with no windows or doors, we are using up all the oxygen that's in that room and we're filling it with carbon dioxide. And that's why it feels stuffy and unhealthy. So everything needs ventilation. So all of our carbon dioxide is taken away into that great void out there. That's not a void, air out there. And oxygen is brought in so we can all breathe. And we breathe, plants breathe, and we need that air exchange. That's right. That's what this air exchange is all about. And it's the same thing in a chameleon cage. If we totally lock up a chameleon cage, well, the chameleon's going to be breathing in, taking in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide. And after a while, it's starting to get stuffy in there. And, the heat just starts hanging around in there. And so what we need is ventilation is a good word, but air exchange is more accurate to what we're looking for. And so, as Alicia says, I want to go over to page 27 because I made my screen cage hybrid. What she means is she took a screen cage and she put plastic around it, so she took down the ventilation. I've been running a normal fan from the side, wondering if I'm addressing that well enough. So what we need is for air to flow through that cage. If you've got a fan, you've got air flowing through the cage, whether the fan is going in or pulling the air out. So you got to ask, everybody's got to ask, where is air coming into the cage and where is air going out of the cage? And you say, well, wait a minute, Bill. Screen is a two-way street there that goes in and out. Well, maybe. When we start talking about the chimney effect, this is how we have balanced out our need to have solid sides. Why do we need solid sides? Because we want to cut down on all the ventilation that takes away our humidity and our heat. Because if we have humidity, heat inside of our chameleon cage and it's totally screened, well, that air exchange is removing, it's bringing in oxygen and it's removing all of our humidity and heat. And so what we need to do is find a balance between holding in the humidity and heat and or heat. Usually it's humidity in our homes, but still having enough air exchange to allow the oxygen and carbon dioxide to balance out to where it should be. And the thing that allows us to do this balance is when we have all of the solid sides and we have a vent in the front and a vent at the top. And so this takes advantage of the air. When it heats up, it rises. That's just because the molecules and how it works with the physics. And so when something rises, it pulls things in because we can't have a vacuum. That just doesn't, nature abhors a vacuum. And so as the air at the top of the cage is heated, it rises and goes out of the screen at the top of the cage. Well, what replaces that? The cool air from the bottom. So this right here, this screen right here, this is where the cool air comes in and the warm air goes out the top. So we have to find that balance to where we still have that airflow, but it isn't flowing at such a rate that all of our humidity and our fog just disappears. So when Alicia says, I've been running a normal fan from the side, wondering if I'm addressing that well enough. Well, what I would do is put in some fog and seeing how long it lasts. So right now I've got a fogger going right here. Why? Because it's the show and that's what we do. So shall we release the fog, everybody? James, are you in the house? Whoosh. There we go. So now I've got all this ventilation and my fog goes away. So what I do to determine if I have enough ventilation is I let some fog go into my cage, and then I turn off the fogger and I see how long it takes for that fog to dissipate. Because if it just stays there, then you don't have any ventilation. If it dissipates in a couple of minutes, well, then you've got enough ventilation. And there's nothing that we can. I don't know of any gauge that we can use to measure that. So we've got to do this like MacGyver type measurement system. Geraldine says, suggestions for improving airflow in a closed room when the air conditioning is running. In the case of your air conditioner is, where is the air conditioner intake? Your air conditioner pulls in air and then it sends it out, and then you've got all the waste stuff going out. You've got an exhaust somewhere for an air conditioner. So you do have some exchange. Let's see. And if it's pulling in air from the room, there's got to be air coming in somehow, whether it's, I don't know, through some screen, but you should be getting enough airflow with that air conditioner. Yeah, there Nick says, use your fogger to judge airflow. It's a real easy way to do it because you can see the flow. Geraldine saying, Steve thinks I wasn't sure that would be enough since the humidity in my room is 70 to 87% in the summer. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Even with the air conditioner going? Ooh, nice. Of course, I say nice because I try hard to get humidity going. But when people have excess humidity, it's a lot easier to bring in humidity and create humidity than it is to get rid of humidity. Yeah, so air conditioner is in the window. Okay. Yeah, so it's sending its exhaust out. So it's got to be new air's got to be coming in somewhere. Somewhere. Oh, you're calling out Marcia for snoring? Oh my goodness. Oh no, that was James. Dozed off for a second there. Oh. All right, well, let's see if there's anything more on page 27. So, all right, so what do we need to do to make sure? That's page 27. And you can see the illustration showing the chimney effect here. So, yeah, how do we make sure that anything that we have has a chimney effect? And by the way, this chimney effect, this isn't a reptile world thing. This is actually for firefighters. They recognize this. This is something that is another world, a real world thing. We just hijacked it for our cages. Um, Now, if you have any of these terrariums that have like acrylic fronts or glass fronts, got to look for those vents. If they don't have the vents, then it's not going to work. We don't get the chimney effect. So I'll look for those vents. Bill, do you think it would be a good idea to use a little bit cooler water for fogger to drop temperature down overnight, or that wouldn't be safe for the chameleon? I don't think that would be terribly effective. Um, I mean, once it fogs up, it's going to it's going to stabilize with temperature very quickly. What I would be concerned about is that it becomes a cold draft. See, this is a problem with our foggers. Our foggers aren't natural. Natural, the fog just appears around us, and so it just kind of appears. It's not a draft. When we use our foggers and we use forced air, then it's like it's coming out as a stream. And the problem with it being a stream is now it becomes a draft. And that is, we got to be really careful about that. And the colder we make that draft, the, you know, the higher the greater the difference between ambient, what they're sitting in, and the temperature of the fog coming out, that's going to be kind of a draft. And it's kind of like we're sitting here and we get blasted by a cold little cold thing. It's not good. So I would say I don't think it's going to be a. I haven't tried it. I don't know. Yeah, okay, I haven't tried it. Maybe somebody has tried it, but I would be concerned about it being a draft. I'm concerned about all of the fogger stuff being a draft. But if you would have it come over the plant or in the back of the cage, then it wouldn't be going directly on the chameleon, and maybe it would maybe that would be a good way to cool down the cage. Oh, Tony, you may be on this. I know some people have talked about doing that before. So, anybody here have done that? James, have you tried that? I'd be interested in knowing if anybody knows what's going. Has ever tried to cool using ice in the fogger? Marcia, hey! Humidity would be great if I didn't have to deal with mold. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That it's just like no matter what situation you have, there's always a downside you got to work with. Marcia said Marcia, and she jumped awake. Renee's talking about you, Marcia. Uh, Marcia says, I've been working hard. Yeah, she's been building a reptile room. We like that. James says, yeah, I've tried it. It does cool down, but you got to keep loading ice. The ice seems to melt fairly quickly. How cold is it when it comes out as a fog? I mean, the transducer kind of heats things up. So does it really cool things down? So everybody, what'd you do today? Marcia, she framed a wall today. Oh, jeez. Oh boy. All right. Now let's see if there's anything more on page 27. No. Okay. So the only thing else on page 27, page 27 is all about the chimney effect and explaining the chimney effect. So, okay, there's nothing. I think we've talked everything about page 27. So, see, James says it does, as in cool things down, but I don't know if it's worth it. I've done it in the middle of summer when the power's gone out. We can't run the air conditioner, but I can run the generator. Okay. Don't know if it's worth it. All right. Well, Tony, there you have the information. Tony says, that makes sense, Bill. You could probably get sick like humans can get sick from that. Mine has between 64 and 67 overnight. So I think tweaking is okay for a pen. Oh, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, the thing is, if you try to cool it using the fog, it's only going to be cool for a little while. And the thing is, you'd have to have it go over the plant or go into the back of the cage, so it's not going directly at the chameleon. And so by time the chameleon gets to it, it's warmed up. So, all right, well, we'll have to talk. So James says, I found putting an ice at the bottom of the cage worked better. All right, there we go. So you guys got a stream of consciousness there. I haven't tried it, but those are my thoughts. And let's see. James 3 says, I have used refrigerated reverse osmosis water in my fogger, and I will get an additional 1 to 2 degree drop for a while as the water warms. Bill, do you have multiple nozzles or one central nozzle in the cage? In this case, I have one central nozzle. On my baby cages, I will have one nozzle per cage, but it will be multiple cages. So that would be multiple nozzles. Although I will not be trying to do this use this for temperature, taking the temperature down. I don't think it would be effective enough for what I would need. So. Tony says, but this temp, just with AC on, no cold water. I've never tried that. Just an idea. Yeah, well, Tony, that's what we got to do. Throw out these ideas, bat it back and forth, figure things out, and try it. And maybe it'll work, maybe not. We'll see. Let's see. Kathleen Clark joined to tell us she's going to bed now. Have a good night's sleep. Oh. By the way, everybody, who is that? Yeah, actually, this is a very young Dorito. On the back of the book, I just realized that this is Dorito when Dorito was a baby. So, all right, everybody, we have 6 more minutes. Do we want to go for one more page? Just give me a page number, and we'll see what we can learn from tiny dragons. And for those who don't know about tiny dragons, this is all about how to take care of hatchling baby chameleons. That very, very one part of the life that we rarely have information. Is the typo on page 7? Oh, Wayne Beatties, you got to look for a typo. The typo that I found was not on page 7. So if you found one on page 7, then that's a new one, and you can send that to me. Send that to me privately. So I. Oh boy. Page 7. It's all about the zen of raising baby chameleons. So should have got Doritos signature also. I can tell you it would look similar to Squishy's. And Dorito is stealing Squishy's fame. You know what? Fame is fleeting. We never hold on to fame unless we do new things. And so if Squishy is not reinventing himself, he's gonna get eclipsed by Dorito. That's just the way it works. Hopefully, you all remember Squishy when Dorito is on social media, has Dorito's own channel. No, but I don't see Squishy. Squishy isn't coming out. So, take a drink here. Everybody, we are going to, for those who are diehards, we have a live show. Tomorrow, I show up on a live show called The Reptile Show Reporter with Sean McNeely. And we just, you're not going to get anything useful out of that show. Sean sometimes tries to get a topic out and sometimes tries to get things done. It's a good effort, but he's got me as a co-host. And after all of my shows where I have to be productive and I have to manage, that's a show I don't have to worry about anything. And so, yeah, I just have fun. And that's usually disruptive. And it usually means he doesn't get to go and finish his topic. And so if you'd like to come to a show that has absolutely no redeeming qualities other than we just hang around and have fun, find the Reptile Show Reporter on YouTube and come back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, we're going to all go over to the Cam Girl podcast, and we're going to hang out and dominate the comment section where Reddy's Rainforest is going to be interviewed on the Cam Girl. So we're going to hang out there. You get entertained on Sean's show. What else do you need? Oh. Oh yeah, here's Mikey Ben telling everybody's we need to jump and troll. Okay, Troll Brigade. Troll Brigade, we gotta gather on the Cam Girls podcast tomorrow at 9. Now, if you don't know where that is, it's a little bit hard to find because you may be able to find it by searching on YouTube. If you don't know where to find it, just come to the Reptile Show Reporter. We'll put the link in the chat. So let's see. Geraldine saying my gecko eats crested gecko diet, which is supposed to have all the vitamins they need. Okay. Yeah. One of our male cricket escaped 2 days ago, and he's chirping 5 hours nonstop today. He's hiding like a pro, so I can't get him. Oh, Tony, if I hear a cricket, it drives me nuts. That's why every single one of my cages is on wheels, casters, so I can get at behind them. Because when those crickets go off and start chirping in the middle of the night, it drives me so crazy. Not gonna hang out with that. That is just ridiculous. So. All right. Okay. Everybody is telling me it's the Show Me Reptiles network. So look for Show Me Reptiles or Cam Girl. I think Cam Girl works as a search term now, or Show Me Reptiles. And then we can find it tomorrow. So hang out at Reptile Show Reporter and or Cam Girl podcast. And I will see the rest of you on Saturday. Have a good week. And I'll see you later. Bye. Do, 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 do.